Representative, as well as the President of the Tennessee State University Alumni Association. And let me welcome you to Black Pulse, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Dr. Haney. Glad to be here.
Mr. Smith, we've talked about the declining number of blacks in the teaching profession, and as a representative from MNEA, the Metropolitan National Education Association, we would like for you to say something about the response of that organization to this problem, and perhaps something about the teaching education programs, period.
Well, you know, in MNEA, we've been asking, and we've kind of more or less kept a little profile on the fact that the number of minority teachers that are presently in the metropolitan school system. And we constantly ask about the recruitment in terms of the present day. As you know, there's supposed to be a teacher shortage out there. And those of us who've been actively involved know that there are not as many black and minority students coming into the teacher profession. And so we're trying to see if there's a sincere effort on part of the school system to go out and recruit and maintain. Presently, we have somewhat of an artificial and pretty much adhered to quota in terms of our minorities in the buildings of MNEA, of the metropolitan school system, of right at 20%. Usually you will not find, and I don't know of a school yet that has more than 20% black of the faculty in that building. Now, what is happening is we're not finding the replacement for those of us who reach of age of retirement or go on to leave and go in other fields. So there is a constant search for continuing on finding new and students who will come in and be interested in being teachers. I'm interested in following the previous Dr. Granberry that there is an effort to try and create a better teacher education program. I presently serve on one of the state committees on the secondary certification. And one of the things is that we're looking at a 5-year program. Now, you know, you have to be careful because in terms of setting up a 5-year program for entry into the teaching profession, you have a tendency to want to attract the better students, but you do and run the risk of scaring them away because the pay scale, when you get down to those of us who are in that day-to-day action, it's very important. If you're going to go to school for 5 years and receive a BS degree, you'd like to be paid adequately for and be compensated for those years of schooling. So if you're going to go and come into teaching and they're going to tell you you're going to start off at $17,000 or $16,000, whereas versus if you go into an accounting or you go into engineering or one of these other fields where you're going to start off at $26,000, $27,000, $30,000, obviously there is no comparison. So you see, therein lies the problem of attracting, and we've got to do a better job of convincing that in the school system publicly that is becoming increasingly more black for the student population, that we have to have in place those teachers who need to be, can identify and coordinate and communicate with these children. Not to say that white teachers and other teachers don't, but there's something about the inheritance that we have a tendency to be better communicative persons in terms of where we live and association. We attend the same churches, live in the same neighborhoods. Oftentimes that makes for a better collaboration in terms of the learning process and the giving process and the teaching process and just kind of socialization in the school setting.
Very well. Dr. Granberry also mentioned the fact that desegregation had a terrific impact upon the declining number of minority teachers. And I think as the president of the Tennessee State University Alumni Association, you can say something about black colleges within that aspect of it.
True. You know, as you know, I serve as the president of the local chapter here in Nashville, and one of the biggest concerns we've had is that even at Tennessee State University, we have had up to in the last several years, we've turned out in excess of 30 to 40 teachers, predominantly black teachers a year in the undergraduate program. 1986, when I checked on the state roster, there was only 8 teachers that come out of the school there in the undergrad, and we don't know how many were black and how many were white. So with that dramatic reduction, and with the loss of black colleges, who were the principal suppliers of black teachers, we don't see any of the other schools in terms of mergings, in terms of the conversions. You don't see that cohesion of transfer in terms of enhancing the graduation rate or increasing. I find it interesting that only the state of Ohio has in its system at Ohio State, the president there was he said, we'd like to have an affirmative action. So what he's done, he's set up a situation where the number of students that you recruit in terms of bringing them in, we want to see a retention level commensurable so that they will see a graduation rate. And as that is going to be put in place, If there is a decrease in terms of what you recruit and what you graduate, your budget will be reduced accordingly. Now, that has immediately shown a greater retention rate. So in their education school there, you see a greater retention of the black students that have come. So we like to see those kinds of, programs put in place, because we hate to see that a system in the country that's going to turn increasingly black and minority, where you will have the absence of black instructors. And, there's something that we need to do about that. So at Tennessee State, we're, at the Alumni Association local chapter, we've been trying to bring that to the attention of the present administration. And perhaps we have a new Dean of Academic Affairs there, Dr. Neal, and we'll probably trying to get with her and trying to talk to see what kinds of programs we can look at to enhance the MNEA in terms of dealing with the school board system. And here in Metro, we've asked that question and wanted them to be aware in their recruitment, that be aware and sensitive to the fact that we need to maintain that level of minority teachers in the system on the active payroll.
Very good. A final question, Mr. Smith. Dr. Granberry also mentioned the fact that a large number of students were dropping out of the school system. And as a representative for the Metropolitan National Education Association, you could perhaps give us some information about black graduate retention or black graduate rates in the Metro school system.
Well, it's really, it's indicative of I think we mirror what the country is about. We have more black students in the school systems, but we have fewer graduating with the commensurable number that we have. And then those who graduate, fewer are going on to college. So along with the TEA and NEA and the local chapter of the Teacher Association, we're looking at a nation at risk, students at risk. We're looking at trying to deal with and develop some programs which will spearhead to shorten and cut off this radical dropout rate that we're seeing, and it's increasing. It's going to be very paramount upon the nation that if we continue with the present rate, we're going to have more students who have come and not completed high school than students and have. And therefore, when you have lack of education, you have lack of job opportunities and lack of the consistency, and that makes for a bad economy and so forth. So we're working on those kinds of situations, and it's true that we just don't have enough time here to deal with those programs, but they are being put in place. There are several foundations that are now funding some experimental programs across the country to look at how can we stop and just retard the rate of dropout of minority students.
Very good. And let me thank you for coming by and giving us this information about the Metropolitan National Education Association, as well as Tennessee State University, Mr. Smith. And we'll be back following this commercial break. Dr. Brent